All right, so this is going to be a review of the math review questions that I just sent you guys a little earlier. I'm not going to actually put the question up on the screen, so if you want to pull it up, that might help you. I will read it out. So, question number one. Oh, goodness, that's crooked. Question number one. You have a 10 milliliter vial that contains 0.5 grams of a drug. If you are ordered to administer 250 milligrams of the drug, how many milliliters will you administer? So, first thing that you want to do is you're going to look here. You are going to convert your grams into milligrams. So, 0.5 grams. 1, 2, 3 is 500 milligrams. Then you're going to set up a cross multiplication to make your life nice and easy. You're going to do 500 milligrams in 10 ml. And you are looking for 250 milligrams. And how many mLs you're going to use. So if you look at this just quickly, you can kind of see that 250 milligrams is half of 250 milligrams, is half of 500 milligrams. So if you extrapolate that further, without doing any math, you should expect that you should be having 5 milliliters of fluid. But we'll do the math through. 500 times x equals 250 times 10, which is 2,500. You're going to get x by itself, so you're going to divide 2,500 by 500. Doesn't go into 2, doesn't go into 25, doesn't go into 250, but it does go into 2,500. 5 times. So you're looking for 5 milliliters. Question number 2. If you administered 10 mLs of a solution in order to give your patient 50 milligrams of the drug, what was the solution concentration of a fluid that you administered? This one's pretty straightforward as well. We're very familiar with understanding like your milligrams per milliliter. That's all you're doing here. So it's 50 milligrams. We're in 10 mLs. You want to find out how many is in 1 ml. So simplify your numbers. There are 5 milligrams per milliliter. That's your answer. Question number 3. You have a 20 ml vial that contains 10 milligram per ml of a drug. How many vials do you have to add 250 milliliters of normal, to add to 250 milliliters of 0.9% normal saline to get a solution concentration of 800 micrograms per milliliter? So 250 bag. So this should look pretty familiar, right? Your 800 mics per milliliter, that looks a lot like dopamine. How do you get dopamine out of an 800 mic per milliliter concentration out of a 250 milliliter bag? You add 200 milligrams of the drug, right? 200 milligrams and 250 is 800 microgram concentration. Now, you have 10 milligrams per milliliter. if you divide 200, right, because now you know you need 200, divide by 10. 10 goes into 20 once. 10 goes into 0 0 times. You need 20 mLs of that medication to equal 200 milligrams. Question number 4. Actually, remember to change my ink this time. How many milliliters will you administer if you want to give 5 milligrams of a drug that comes in a 10 ml vial that contains 100 milligrams of the drug? Use blue. So, first thing you're going to do is you're going to find out your concentration. Or actually, you don't even have to, right? You can set up a cross multiplication. So you have a 10 milliliter vial that contains 100 milliliters inside that, or milligrams of that drug. You want to give 5 milligrams. What is your x? First thing you can do, simplify. 10x equals 5. X equals 0.5 milliliters. Question number 5. What is the correct drip rate to administer 5 micrograms per kilo per minute to a 176-pound patient if you put 200 milligrams in a 250 milliliter bag and you use a micro drip? First thing you want to do, you want to convert your weight, right? 176 pounds equals 80 kilograms. Now you find out what your desired dose is by multiplying. So you want to give your patient 400 micrograms per minute. This is your desired dose. Your dose on hand, again, we memorize the dopamine calculation, is 800 micrograms per milliliter. Dose on hand. So now you just plug all your numbers into your formula. So your desired dose is 400. Your dose on hand is 800. You're going to multiply by your 60 drop set. You can simplify here. So 4 times 60 is 240 divided by 8 is 30 drops a minute. Question number 6. You want to administer 10 milligrams per minute of a drug to a 198-pound male using a mini drip set, 60 drops a minute. You place half a gram, which is 0.5 grams, which is also equal to 500 milligrams, of the drug in a 250 milliliter bag. What is your drip rate? So first things first, no one cares how much this guy weighs, right? Your desired dose, which is right here, does not ask you about weight, so no one cares how much this guy weighs. So you want to figure out what your dose in hand is, though. So you have put 500 milligrams in a 250 milliliter bag, right? So you can simplify. 50 divided by 25 is 2 milligrams per milliliter. This is your dose on hand. So now plug your numbers in. You want to give your patient 10 milligrams a minute. You have 2 milligrams per milliliter, and you multiply that by 60. So that becomes 600 divided by 2, which is 300 drops a minute. Question number 7. You need to administer 10 mics per kilo per minute to a 154-pound patient. You place 2 20 ml vials, so that's a total of 40 mLs of 10 milligram per ml medication in a 500 milliliter bag, and you were using a 60 drop set. So first thing, you're going to convert your pounds, 70 kilos. Now you're going to get your desired dose by multiplying 70 by 10. Then you're going to figure out how much medication you've actually put in. So if every ml contains 10 milligrams, you'll multiply the 2. So 40 times 10 is 400 milligrams that you've put into a 500 milliliter bag. So you want to find out micrograms though, right? This should look familiar, right? You have your 400 milligrams in a 500 milliliter bag. You have an 800 microgram per milliliter concentration. And this is your dose on hand. And then you plug your numbers into the formula. You have 700 over 800 times 60 over 1. Simplify. So then you have 7 times 60, 420, divided by 8 equals 52.5 drops a minute. Question number 8. You need to administer 300 milligrams an hour to a 198-pound patient using a 60 drop set. If you put 250 milligrams of the drug in a 250 milliliter bag, what is your drip rate? First things first, no one cares how much this guy weighs. Second, you can find out your dose on hand. Super easy, right? Because you're putting 250 milligrams in a 250 milliliter bag, which means that your dose on hand is 1 milligram per milliliter. Now we calculate everything in minutes, not hours. there's 60 minutes in an hour. So you're going to figure out how many drops per minute. So 60, simplify. 6 goes into 30. 5 times. So you want to give your patient 5 milligrams a minute. This is your desired dose. So 5 milligrams per minute. Concentration is 1 milligram per milliliter times your 60 drop set. It's 300 drops per minute. Question number 9. You are administering 60 drops a minute to a patient using a 60 drop set. After 1 hour, how many milliliters have you given your patient? So if you are giving your patient, you have your volume, right? 60. No, just kidding. I did it backwards. I knew I was going to do that backwards too. I was doing it right. Just kidding. You have your 60 drops a minute. You are using 60 minutes. You are using a 60 drop set. $60 divided by 60 is 1. So you've given your patient 60 milliliters in 1 hour. Last question, question number 10. You have to administer 150 milligrams of a drug over 1 hour. Let's just convert that nice and easily for ourselves into 60 minutes. You put 150 milligrams of this drug into 100 milliliters of fluid. And using a mini drip set, what would your drip rate be? So, use volume over time. You want to give 100 milliliters. You are going to do it over 60 minutes using a mini drip. Simplify. 10 times 60, 600, divided by 6, 100 drops a minute. Actually, let's go back to that last question real quick, because I actually think I did it wrong. I plugged a number in the wrong spot. You have your drip rate, which is 60 drops a minute. You have your 60 drop set. You have your 60 minutes, and you're looking for X. So that means you have 60x over 60 equals 60. It ends up being the same, but 60 divided by 60 cancel each other out to 1. X equals 60 milliliters. Did do it wrong. I did it right. Just a different way of getting there. Now that you're thoroughly confused, that's your math review. I will do the other 10 questions in another video so that you can separate them and watch them as you need. Hope this helps.